Welcome back to another episode of Life with Lamb. Today I'm here with Matthew Crundall. Amazing.
Good to be here, man. Good to be here.
I'm so nervous. Far out.
I'm nervous, man.
Oh, really? Oh, my God. I mean, this isn't your first podcast, but...
No, it's G. It's great to be here, man.
Amazing. I really appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man.
My pleasure.
What have you been up to? How's your day been?
Day's been pretty chill. Like I said before to you, I was just running some errands, doing a bit of work, like online and stuff like that, bouncing place to place, and then here now. So, yeah, pretty crazy day. Yourself?
Yeah. Oh, good. I had work in the morning, so I don't know. Got back packing for a trip away. You're my last podcast before I head off for a couple of weeks, which is good. Escaping the weather, which is very nice.
It's Singapore first, and then
Bali.
Bali,
yeah,
nice, hectic.
Having a chill
one. A couple of gyms there. I can recommend you.
Yeah, please. You have to tell me off air. But I guess give us a bit of a synopsis about yourself.
Okay. So, yeah, my name is Matt. I at the moment I coach as like a full-time job out of a gym called Training Day, which is mainly the PT general population side of things. But the overarching thing I do for work is coaching online, which is under Crundall Crew, which I sort of founded as a name last year. And that's predominantly coaching powerlifting athletes. I myself compete as a powerlifter, and yeah, like that's pretty much what I live and breathe as a main synopsis of right now. Yeah,
amazing. I feel like the general list of guests that I've got on have been powerlifters, and I guess that's how we've met. And not that there's anything wrong with it. Love the community and love being able to like meet you. I've only met you a handful of times, but keen to unpack your story. I feel like I know so much about you, and like I said, only met a handful of times, and I guess, like I was saying before, don't know many 23-year-olds that are doing what they love, lifting, loving life, and also making a living off it. I really admire that about you, and I'm so keen to learn a bit more.
Of course.
I guess, has it always been gym for you? Talk to us a bit about your journey.
All right, so I guess from like the foundation of things, when I was like 4 or 5, I started gymnastics just because my friends were doing it. My parents thought it was a good idea to start that. So that was me starting sports in general. That's probably day one. And then I did that for about 10 years and got up to the national-ish level. And I stopped it when I was 14 or 15 as it got like pretty consuming, balancing that with just going to school and doing other things. I was also doing stuff like playing instruments to like a decent-ish AMAB level. And so it just got too time-consuming. Then after that, I did 1 year of just dabbling in rugby because my friends were doing it, but that wasn't like much at all. So 2015 is when I started going to the gym. That was pretty much like just self-guided and off the back of just basically 10 years of gymnastics. So I had a pretty good foundation of like upper body muscle mass, but not much lower body mass, stuff like that. So I did that for about a year, just going with the flow, just random training without doing too much looking into what to do and stuff. And then 2016, I found out the sport called powerlifting because I was leveling up my lifts. I was getting stronger. I had always had like a obsessive personality with like doing a pursuit, and I just found myself doing that through sport or like some sort of physical activity. So finding out that powerlifting existed was pretty cool, knowing that it just kind of sparked the idea in my head, I could do this hobby more seriously. So 2016, I trained just using some template programs and stuff and looking into more about how training works and etc. 2017, I joined up at Melbourne Uni Powerlifting Club, which was coached by the Robert Wilkes. So 2017 is when I started competing and being coached just for that year. Went pretty well. I competed as a sub-junior, so I was 17 turning 18 that year. Broke some records and did pretty well considering it was my first year.
Don't fly over that one, please. Can you talk about the records?
The main one that I got, which is I guess the most outstanding that year, was the sub-junior bench press 93 kilogram record, which is 170. And I think it was a record for 4 or maybe 5 years and just recently got broken, but that was that. And then from 2018 onwards, I left that gym and that coach just because I just feel it wasn't that great of a fit And I've just been self-coached ever since. And from 2018 onwards, at the end of 2018 is when I first started picking up coaching and stuff like that.
Amazing. A lot to unpack there. It's been I guess a bit of a whirlwind for you.
Yeah.
And I guess I really resonate with the point of pursuing something in a competitive stance as well. I think that's such an awesome thing. And I guess I would recommend any of the listeners to do, finding like a passion or something that you can really apply yourself. And I guess it gives you direction as well, and you're
definitely
left wanting a lot more in your life. I guess dissect gymnastics for me, 10 years in the sport, was that right?
Yeah, so 10 years from about 5 to 15 years old. Started just as kind of a way to get physically active as thought by my parents and stuff, and turned into something I just had a desire to compete in. So I think regardless if I did that sport or not, I was probably wired to just be a competitive person in some sort of sense. And so as the later years of it, like when I got into year 8 and 9 and it started taking up a lot of time, it was probably like 20 to like 25 plus hours of training a week plus all the other school and whatnot. So yeah, that's when it started getting a bit too consuming, because to progress, if you wanted to go international or the Olympics or whatever, probably requires up to like 35, 40 hours of training a week.
Jeez.
And that trajectory just didn't really seem too feasible. So yeah.
Yeah. What were you like growing up as a kid? Did you value education? I know you've talked a lot about the sporting and everything, but both Asians, so
Yeah. Well, like I'm half.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely was like urged to do well in school. I didn't not do well. However, I went all the way through, finished high school, and then started doing actually nutrition science at Deakin for about 1 year. That was congruous to me kind of trying to get into the fitness world and coaching and stuff like that. So that was 2018, the year straight after high school. And after like a couple or a few trimesters, I just felt that I couldn't like apply myself at all. I had no interest at all in it. But then kind of zooming out, and also in retrospect, have kind of found that doing it wouldn't really have added too much to what I'm doing now in terms of the practical application of things, and may have just caused a bit more debt / taken time out of being able to fully pursue what I am now. So yeah, after a year, I stopped going to uni, but at this point right now, I definitely actually don't regret it at all. So yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's it's a great perspective to have, to be honest, because I think we all grow up with the, I guess, everyone telling us, oh, go to high school, go to uni, and then find a job. And it's amazing that you sort of recognize after a year that, hey, this is probably not the best thing for me.
Yeah,
at all.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like myself and everyone else I was surrounded with was just like taught to finish high school, and then you subsequently finish uni, and then you just step foot into the workforce, like quote unquote, but that not necessarily being like carved out in specificity. So I thought, okay, that's just the roadmap to follow. But when I started uni, was studying, I just thought, what the heck am I like going to do if I finish this?
You can swear on the pod?
Yeah. Sometimes it just...
it's just censored.
Yeah, and I just thought, like, I don't really see myself being like a nutritionist or a dietitian. I love training. I love getting people stronger. That's when I'd already started taking on a couple clients at the time. And I just thought the application just was at odd ends with what I really wanted to do, and just the time investment and monetary investment didn't line up. So yeah.
Yeah, was that a hard conversation to have with, I guess, your parents, and did it not sit too well with them? What was that like?
It wasn't too hard. However, it definitely wasn't like any sort of a comfortable convo. So both my parents did kind of urge me to just stay and just finish it, just for the sake of finishing it. At first I did defer like I think it was a trimester or a year. And then I had the option to return or just call it off, and I called it off. So I think in that deferring period, they were kind of like, hey, look, you just take it slowly or do it really, really extended and just finish it all the way through. And I was kind of on the fence about it, but still leaning towards not doing it. I'd much rather not do it. And then when the time came to decide to do it or not, I picked to not. And I think by then, because a lot of time had passed going through the process of deferring and then eventually stopping, and then also them seeing that I was becoming successful in the field that I had a lot of passion for, they were less like pressuring to still do it. So yeah, it was fortunate that I wasn't like squeezed and pressured into finishing it.
Yeah, it can be hard to be like pigeonholed, especially by parents. I think they're one of our number one sort of motivators in life, and we look up to them. So yeah, I was gonna ask, were you still pursuing like the coaching, or were you doing something on the side that I guess was beneficial to the whole end result?
So from 2018, that's the first year I found Training Day, which is a gym I still work at. At that point in time, they hadn't even opened the Clayton gym, which is the one most people go to. They just had the Burwood gym on Highbury Road. So at that point in time, I hadn't finished my qualifications to personal trainer stuff, which is your Cert 3 and 4 in fitness. I was doing that. I'd almost actually finished it at the time when I found Training Day. So what I did was I spoke to the guy who owns it, Wayne, and he liked the prospect of me joining as a coach in the future when I'd finish the qualifications. So he took me on as just like a desk guy. So actually for like a bunch of months from 2018 into the very start of 2019, I was actually working the reception. I don't think, I'm not sure if anyone who's actually listening ever saw me there because it was so long ago, but that's actually what I did before coaching. Before starting any PT, like in-person direct personal training work, I took on a couple people in 2018 as online clients. My first one is a guy called Dan Kotzen. So I think a lot of people know him. Another generic lifting account. So he was my very first client in 2018. That came off the back of him kind of doing some template programs and then saying to me, hey, would you be down to coach me? I kind of want to take it more seriously. And I'd never done anything like that in the past except for coaching myself. And I thought, oh yeah, I can do that. I can coach myself, and I had to coach you. And then he started having success shortly after. And then, yeah, just to kind of extend from that, how the online coaching side of things took off is he started to make progress. People who saw him at the gym started to see and be interested and also want to make progress and join the crew. People like Lloyd Bernardo was also one of the first clients, so it just kind of snowballed. And then even like kind of just jumping all around the place here, but even right now, that's kind of how it continues to grow. People see success and they want to be part of it and stuff like that.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I think it relates back really well with the point that you made about pursuing something in a competitive manner. And I think as soon as you start reaping the rewards from it, people start to see your success and they start asking for advice and everything. Like I get people asking me like, oh, like, how do you get so strong? And it's like, I don't feel like I'm that strong at all. And then I look up to people like you, and then it sort of like comes like all the way back up. And it's amazing to see that your coaching platform has grown and grown and grown. And yeah, like you said, snowboard as well.
Thanks, man. Be part of it.
Yeah, I'm very, very grateful to be a part of it. So what inspired the move to the gym? You'd finished up at sort of gymnastics level and you're like, I guess I can't put as much time into it. Was it something to get your hyperactivity out of you, or just you wanted to look big? What was it like?
The reason why I'm laughing right now is because I kind of remember why. So when I finished gymnastics, that was like similar time to when I found out about Ziz. I just like the aspect of just training to get bigger and shredded and not do it for like attention or like to get girls or anything, but just the aspect of just feeling more personally empowered by being bigger and stronger and just having like an outlet to just exert physical energy into. So that was the main thing, just to self-empowerment for being bigger, stronger than I was each week prior, and just letting myself put like all that pent-up physical energy that I'd otherwise have like stockpiled into something. So it was just, yeah, outlet for like mental well-being and also just physical exertion.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like, yeah, I've done a cheeky stalk of your Instagram and seen a few Ziz photos lying around.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it. There's an iconic photo of you with the spiky hair.
Oh,
Can you talk to us a bit about that?
Oh, which is that where I'm like posing on my roof or something?
Yeah, probably. You had I reckon the surf hair, like the surfer's hair.
Yeah. So that was like 2012. So, and also not to sound arrogant or say this, but part of what tied into me starting the gym was before I'd even lifted a single weight. When I was about 12-ish, people said I like looked 16 and had like a lot of muscle mass of someone who'd trained in the gym already. So I had this like urge to always want to go to the gym, but I couldn't because I was doing gymnastics. And like my like in hindsight, my ego was probably like building to the point of eventually stepping into the gym because like people were saying, like asking, do you go to the gym? You look like you go to the gym. Like, how'd you get like that? And I wouldn't know what to say because I'd never actually trained in the gym.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, as a gymnast, like you see all the gymnasts with huge arms as well. It's like from all the ring rows and just upper body mechanics are out of this level. I can imagine why they'd think you're an absolute unit.
Too kind.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I guess it was bound to happen. Like I was going to step in the gym one day.
Yeah,
sooner
exactly.
or later.
What was it like the first time stepping into the gym?
It was fun. Like I'm fortunate that I wasn't in the situation where I felt really intimidated and scared to walk into a gym and thinking everyone's judging me. I just walked in, would like pick up dumbbells and sometimes accidentally like different weight each hand and start curling them and then like looking in the mirror thinking I was instantly growing. This kind of vibe. So yeah, that was good.
The newbie gains just all soaking it up. Love to see it.
Yeah.
And then I guess it all progressed from there. Who introduced you to powerlifting, or did you just find that you were doing your compounds and it started progressing from there?
So ages ago. So it was 6 years ago, 2016, when I started properly barbell training. The second year after stepping into the gym, I stumbled across some of Johnny Candido's like template programs, and then after finding those and looking into him and just other people who are in that sort of sphere, I realized that it's a sport. So I'm trying to think. I don't know if it was any one person. I think just when I entered the rabbit hole of finding people who are in the scene and also realizing it's a whole scene in itself was how I found out about it. So I can't pinpoint one exact moment where I found out it's a sport. Maybe someone told me who was a friend or something, but yeah, I found out, and then it was just it took off from there. It had a lot of direction from there. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you think of it as just like, oh, I'm just going to the gym. Like, how can this be a sport?
Yeah, I was almost like waning. I wasn't waning, but like I almost, before finding out powerlifting was a sport, I had this hope like, oh, how can I like do this as a sport? Like, this is great. How do I do this as a sport? And then it was literally a sport.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like obviously new to the powerlifting scene and everything. I feel like it's taken off this year, or is that just because of COVID?
No, well, you're right. Like I think each year, since like the mid 2010s, it seems to grow pretty quickly, and I think directly pre and directly post COVID is when it was really exploding, and then that COVID period kind of like snuffed it a little bit. But yeah, this year I feel the same as you. It's definitely exploding. Worldwide, just because I guess a reason why it might be exploding is because people are just training in all sorts of commercial gyms that like if there's one person in a gym who's training for powerlifting, they're going to be like outstandingly strong compared to the average person. A lot of people will take note, and then when I try to replicate it or something like that, and then they'll just kind of join the wave. So
yeah, 100%.
So it's really accessible, I guess. Yeah,
100%. Like even myself, and I'm sure you found it, like you step into a commercial gym and I don't know, you're sort of mogging everyone.
Like you the other day. Yeah.
Everyone just sort of looks at you like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah,
it's like an anomaly.
Yeah, but it's so cool though, because that's like the barrier to entry. Like, yeah, that's why I can take off at such a rate like it is, because all it takes is witnessing something like that in the gym and then perhaps asking like what they do or what their goals are or what their plans are, and then whoever's asking that, if they think it's cool, they can just jump on and start.
Yeah, 100%. It can be very inspirational. Is that something that's drawn you to powerlifting? Like, what have you grown to love about it?
I I guess like I've got like two streams of goals. So the so one of them would be definitely like the coaching stream in response to like what makes me inspired and what keeps driving me to do this. So it'd be everyone that puts their trust in me, in the crew, to just ensure they succeed and get them to where they want to be and hopefully even further. And the other stream would be just my own goals because I coach myself as well. And just the same way I try to provide for everyone that I coach, I just want to see where I can get myself in like a undefined sort of period of time. So I feel like pretty fortunate in that like my motivation or discipline never wanes because I feel like I've got this unlimited kind of source of intrinsic motivation for myself, which is always going to be that I'll always train. I'll never skip because I don't feel like it. But that same energy goes to ensuring that everyone I coach gets that same energy. So yeah, I feel it feels almost, completely intrinsically motivated, just seeing where the boundaries are for myself and everyone I coach and hopefully exceeding boundaries that we thought were there.
Yeah, I love that. Intrinsic motivation is a huge one. Talk to us a bit about it. Have you always been that way? I know we talked about like the competitive aspect of everything, but have there ever been periods of time where you've felt that it waned or you felt that, oh, like I don't feel like it this day? And what are some tips that you have to sort of avoid that?
So I guess it will sound pretty unnatural and weird and almost like I'm lying, but I've literally never had any drop in motivation to do something like in the powerlifting realm from day one somehow. I guess it's because I have just been wired in my head to be competitive and just never back down or never want to stop. Yeah, I actually, it's hard to answer because I feel like it's like hardwired in me. So it's hard to give an answer as to why, but that's just the way I am.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's why I say I'm really fortunate because I know lots of people, like also colleagues and just people I've known who started the sport or in the sport when I started, but have fallen off and dropped off or lost interest. Yeah, I feel fortunate because I just couldn't see myself being like that. So much so that like I have to keep reminding myself there's things outside of life and powerlifting and just doing other things.
Yeah, 100%. And have you come to the realization of like, oh, I shouldn't let gym define me? But then at the same time, like you're doing your coaching and everything, so it sort of is a way that I don't know, it does define you in a way. You know,
it's a good point and a good question. So that's something recently I've thought about a bit more. Not that I feel dissatisfied with my life or there's parts of my life missing. I actually feel very like complete and like on track and just very like, yeah, like I'm every new day that comes by is like the peak me that's like waking up every day. So I'm very fortunate that I kind of just fast forwarded and thought like, okay, if the next few years are like this and they just continue getting bigger and this is the only dimension in my life, will I be filled with like any regret or even a small amount of regret for not doing X, Y, and Z other things or just miscellaneous things or recreational things? And I thought potentially. And so because of that, I've just started doing other stuff.
Yeah, fair enough. Like talk to us about the sacrifices that you might have had that, I don't know, people might be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Sort of thing that you're sort of, I mean, maybe in that period of time that you were reflecting, can think of, I guess.
So I guess this year is a good one, for example. So because this is my last year of juniors, I don't actually plan to do any more comps this year, but this is my last year of juniors and I had massive ambitions to do X, Y, and Z comp and hit X, Y, and Z numbers to finish at X spot as a junior. I opted, like my girlfriend Sin was traveling all over the place this year and I opted to not travel with her whatsoever. And I didn't know that with foresight, I wouldn't end up doing all these comps and hit like what I wanted and just rather take it easy and plan for next year instead. But because of me planning and thinking that and giving up those things and sacrificing in advance, I kind of missed out on great traveling worldwide opportunities I could have done. So that's like an immediate example. So doing things that are recreational, social, with people I care about, sometimes gets overlapped by the training and coaching side of things. So yeah, that can happen. It's an example.
Amazing. And I guess you're probably one of the biggest role models in terms of like models of excellence in terms of reaching the pinnacle of powerlifting and I don't know, you're like super strong and you've built this amazing community and everything. And sometimes that's the sacrifice that you do have to make. And I think it's strong that you're able to acknowledge it. And I'm sure you're wanting to travel now and wanting to go out, especially when everything's opening. So I think, it's a really mature decision to make. And you're still so young as well. To be able to recognize, hey, maybe I'm putting too much time into this. And I think it's a really important point that sometimes you can't become too obsessed with something. And while it is healthy to be obsessed and excel in something, there are other things going around in your life.
100%. Yeah, that's a good point. I guess the tricky thing with me is because there's so many people who look to me for help and that I'm always going to be helping every single day as best I can. I can't afford to let the quality drop. It can only be the same as it was or increase. So me fitting in my just life plans and recreational stuff, I feel naturally comes second. So for me to be able to go and do things like I do now or into next year and make travel plans or whatnot, it's got to be factored in with the thought of how do I ensure that everyone I coach keeps receiving the same level of treatment and doesn't drop whilst fitting in these extraneous things that I feel like. So first, when I had those sort of thoughts of going elsewhere, traveling and whatnot, I would just think, it's not feasible because my training would go crap and like the coaching might just be a bit choppier. So I just won't do it. But now I think, if I can keep the quality up and have this as secondary, then perhaps it can fit. So,
Yeah, amazing. You sound like such a selfless person and it shows as well. With the quality of feedback that you give, even if I'm sending videos to you really late at night, you still manage to, I guess, type out a little chunk of text. And I can imagine you would do that to your other clients as well. And you take out the time to really give quality feedback. And I really admire that about you.
My pleasure.
What's it like being a role model to all these people? Have you ever felt the pressure? Have you ever felt, I guess, a bit of imposter syndrome of sorts?
Yeah, there's a good question. So I guess from the get-go when starting into coaching and as the years have gone by and as I built my roster, the imposter syndrome side of things was definitely apparent. Fortunately, I don't feel it as much anymore. I just feel like I've gotten to a point where there's just no reason to feel that anymore. But I definitely did feel it at the start, just naturally getting new into the game, knowing there's people who've been doing it for longer. And also the fact that powerlifting, the community is largely pretty positive and supportive, but there are definitely some unsavory people who would just love every opportunity to kind of nitpick you and whatnot if you put yourself out there. So that imposter syndrome did exist, but fortunately has gone away. In regard to like the pressure and stress to uphold like a standard to people that I coach, I did feel like I've never not given my all to everyone that I coach, but I did feel like the nervousness and stress more in like the first 1 or 2 years, the same kind of 1 or 2 years where I felt imposter syndrome with coaching, just feeling the stress of, I can't let this person down because they're trusting me, they're putting their investment in me, blah, blah, blah. Now I take on the responsibility and almost it's like the reverse. I feel like energized and I feel a kick from it that like someone trusts me because of the work they see we can produce, and I just feel like, okay, I'm gonna add another person to the list who's had a excellent experience coaching with me. So yeah, it's like those two things have done a whole 180. I used to feel nervous, I used to feel like an imposter, and now I feel like very in my place and also super energized and confident when someone comes to me for help.
I love that so much. Yeah. Was there ever a turning point for you that sort of turned the imposter syndrome down and minimized it a lot more, or do you feel like it was just a gradual over time process? And while you're doing that, I'm changing the cameras.
Yeah, no worries. Do you want me to answer as you're changing?
Go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, the shift was probably a culmination of a few things. Some of them being just general time and your subconscious ability to grasp things and deal with things and have proper perceptions of things and like irrational nervousness lower. The other side was probably when lifters and coaches from outside Crundall Crew would say to me that they admire the work I'm doing. They think it's great, the results that are being produced, and just being genuine about their commendation and feedback and admiration of things. That kind of just instilled confidence. So it's like it's probably a half intrinsic and extrinsic process of just feeling more confident. Yeah,
100%. And the validation that you get from the powerlifting community is so powerful, I think.
Yeah, it is, and that's why we're lucky to be in this sport, because it's, out of a lot of sports that I've been part of, it's such a welcoming and kind community on as a whole.
Yeah, I myself as a swimmer back in the day used to, sit up in the race lines, in the lane lines, and everyone's just sort of like just giving you eye to eye, like side to side. And then I guess when you go to powerlifting meets, everyone's like slapping you on the back and giving you, like, dapping you up, giving you fist bumps and everything. It's like,
That's
good
so
fucking
true.
lift, man.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah.
I don't know what the gymnast culture was like.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, it was probably like similar competitiveness to like swimming, how everyone's kind of on edge. Funnily enough, I forgot I did swimming as well. I also did tennis. Yeah, those I did those other two in the mix of like doing gymnastics. Just because you brought it up, I just forgot I even did it. But yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's awesome that the powerlifting community's been able to give you that confidence, and as time grows, I think you start to obviously obtain tenure in your position. I'd like to ask, say you were looking to, not myself, but if any of the listeners were looking to do coaching or stepping into a role where they feel, hey, like maybe my lifts aren't the best, or I don't know, I don't feel credible enough, I don't have any credentials or anything. What would you like to say to them, or what advice do you have to give to them?
All right. So if someone wants to start coaching from that position, I'd first of all like get a good grasp of, one or two things. You can start coaching yourself and find success with that, or you can start kind of mapping out coaching principles and see how they work with whatever program you're running, and just matching up and learning off those sort of resources. I would then start talking to your friends, and especially ones who aren't that involved in powerlifting just yet, if they would be down to be coached by you or kind of experimented on with like just methods and stuff, and just kind of build momentum from any sort of avenue you can. That's kind of how I do it. So start on yourself, start on like friends and people who trust you to just start something you're not that familiar with, and then just you'll probably just get the ball rolling really slowly and find ways to grow it, similar to how I did. That's kind of similar to how I did it, actually, to be honest.
Yeah, what was your journey like? I know you started off in the desk at Training Day, Burwood, sorry.
Yeah.
And then I guess a few people approached you. Is that the most of it, or did people reach out via social media?
So, like, if you aren't that established, it definitely is something very hard to grow and snowball. Like that's why I feel there's only a few prominent coaches in each state, because the journey to get there is a pretty arduous one. So with the online coaching, so I'll kind of say again, my coaching at the moment differs in that it's split into two parts. The very minor part is in-person personal training, where I'll coach like a roster of 6 or 7 general population people through the week, a total of maybe like 7 to 10 hours worth of PTing. But the very large majority of my coaching is the online powerlifting coaching, which is the Crundall Crew.
Shout out. We got the shirts on.
What was I saying? So when I was doing desk work, I quickly transitioned into personal training. At the time of personal training, I was still only training maybe between 2 and 4 total online people with no real online presence. I forgot to add, like, posting your progress and your client's progress is a big thing. That's kind of what caused me to blow up and gain a lot more momentum. That's a side point. So I started coaching. I didn't have much online presence. I was PTing in the gym. I was relying off being sent like consults that I would have a chat to for free and then see if they wanted to continue training. So that was the kind of grind period, I guess, from in 2019 is when I started that PTing. So some points about how like arduous and hard it was to get a foot were like I would have lots of consults being sent my way. A portion of them would do maybe one paid PT session and then never kind of contact me again, which is normal. So I wouldn't have any sort of stable income, and also coming off the desk work, that's like the income instability. When I did have like a ongoing client, sometimes I'd only have like 2 total people within the week, a couple online clients, which is, not much money coming my way. And like there'd be times where I walk into the gym, I'm meant to have 1 client for the whole week, and then they just message, oh, sorry, I forgot to tell you I can't make it. And then I've just done a half-hour trip to the gym and then half an hour trip back. So the grinding days were like just showing up and just trying to scrounge any sort of work I could with PT. 2019 to 2020, PT started to pick up. Then we got hit by COVID. And then 2020 to 2021, it was like lockdowns interlaced with going back to the gym. Fortunately, by then, my PT roster was pretty full and my powerlifting roster was picking up. I had I actually can't remember, like maybe 10, give or take, people. That still wasn't my main thing. And then as 2021 rolled around and we kind of stopped having lockdowns, I had a full PT roster, which was nice. So like 4 clients a day, like 4 to 5 days a week. So a decent work schedule plus online clients. But I found that as the online clientele grew and my passion for powerlifting grew and passion to get the online powerlifters strong, my passion for just helping general population out started to decrease and just progress until you've got the ratio that it is now, like only a handful of people that have been training for a very long time in person, and then the overwhelming majority of clientele is online. So yeah.
I love that. And you talk a lot about the grinding period, and I think it's so important to know where you came from and know your roots.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's just such a refreshing, I guess, perspective to hear from you. It's not like all of a sudden you had this whole army of, I don't know, Crundall Crew, That's
very true.
You didn't have, I guess, however many clients that you do have to this day, and it didn't just happen overnight. You stuck at it and you kept showing up and you kept attending PTs even though some of them cancelled on you throughout the week. Has that taught you what has that taught you actually?
I guess like for this coaching pursuit, but also any other sort of work pursuit where you have to locate the work for yourself and acquire it and then keep it, is just keep like swimming rather than just let yourself sink, because that's literally where I was. Like I had no ability to get money and it was very fleeting, but I just knew that like just keep doing it, keep like showing up. People will see you walking around the gym in your coaching uniform. The people might keep asking as the weeks and months and years go on, like you'll make it, even though it was a really like dim spot. So yeah, if you're working for yourself or you're in a position where you have to locate the work for yourself, just keep that belief like super strong that you're going to make it, and keep doing all the things subconsciously and consciously that will get you there. Just keep manifesting that, like that's your passion and goal. And as long as you've got your wits about you in terms of when to take opportunities when they come and just grab things and run with things, you'll probably be okay.
Yeah. We're all gonna make it.
We're gonna make it, bro.
And during that period when you were in the grind period, did you have regrets where you're like, oh fuck, like I probably should have stuck to my course, I probably should have continued and gone into the nutrition scene?
Yeah, good question. Like I definitely like had a few panic spots where I'd even talk to my boss being like, I don't know if I can PT train anymore. Like no one's training with me. Do I need to go to like Good Life or some commercial gym where they're just gonna like throw like all these people at me? Like I'm like kind of desperate, and I still stuck it out. I did have moments also where I thought, oh gee, like do people even make it in this sector? Like there's like studies that show like a really high percentage of people that try to get in the fitness field and become coaches and trainers after having done the certs and all that, just flop within the first year and have to pursue a completely other stream. And I have like fleeting thoughts in my head, which scared me and kind of scared me for like needing to start something else totally over, but also scared me that thinking the passion that I really want to pursue might not be a reality one day. Yeah.
It's just, it is pretty heartbreaking hearing that statistic as well. Like you work so hard to get your certificates and then flop. And then I want you to talk about what it's like finding your passion.
Oh, okay. So what in particular, like what sort of questions?
What's it like? What's
it like?
Again, don't know many 23-year-olds who are able to, I guess, cultivate such an awesome community and yeah, make
Thanks,
a living
man.
out of it. So
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
All right. So what's it like when you get to the point, again, like I'm not like the king of the castle right here, but I feel like I've gotten to a really good point. I feel like really satisfied, but not satisfied to stop, but just keep on going. It feels really good knowing that you've just built it from the ground up, like self-made, and it's like it functions as long as you keep putting the work in. It functions really well and continues to be as prosperous as you want it to be, rather than as prosperous as the company you work for lets you be and whatnot. It's as I said, it's tough if you just kind of start out and you're in a kind of the sole trader scene. Finding the passion, I guess, would be the thing that may never come to you when you think about it directly or inquire within yourself about what your passion even is. Like when I was finishing high school, I did powerlifting. I never actually thought really that I'd become a coach, to be honest. I did powerlifting quite competitively, but I just thought, okay, I'm going to finish high school. I'm going to do some desk sit-down job. I have no idea what it could be, but I guess that's what I have to be, right? Like that's what everyone seems to be thinking. And then, like touching on from our topic earlier, in that brief period at uni, I never even got the inkling that this is for me. And I had some tug of war in my head and back and forth, just thinking like, where the hell am I going to go? Because I can't like do this, but I love lifting and I love like making myself stronger. And these couple people that put their trust in me, like I just like, what the hell am I going to do? Like I feel really lost. So I guess a bit of analysis of like what you love, but then also, is that actually something that you can make a career out of? That's a really important, I'd say, primary question, because you can't always like make your passion the thing you do for money and livelihood.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't know, people might think, oh, like just talking about money and everything, but at the end of the day, you have to make a livelihood for yourself, and you have to be able to, I guess, support your own foundation and build yourself a house or something,
Yeah, exactly. Like I think think really hard and kind of forecast in the future, could this expand and be something that you could feasibly make a living out of? Or is this something that you still really love, however, it needs to be like funded via like a job that you just do as the main thing, and you continue to do this outside of that? Yeah.
100%. What are some goals for your, I guess, long term? Talk a bit about not stepping away from the gym, but more having a balance in your lifestyle.
I guess a few things would be like just seeing a bit more of the world and travel. Like I've never been to Europe. I've gone to various other places, so I definitely want to go travel around Europe. I'll fortunately get to do that next year. Funnily enough, that involves powerlifting when I go to Malta with Zin, but make that into a Europe trip. So that's kind of a moderate term goal. The other one would just be picking up things I like to do that aren't gym related. Not that I think I need a break from it, but just to get extra mental stimulus. Like I've started playing chess.
Oh, really?
I started going to a chess club.
Oh,
Went there
serious?
with JP Kaki the other day.
Oh my God, that's epic.
Yeah. And funnily enough, again, like that guy's a powerlifter. Anyway, you can't escape it. But so stuff like that. And then just even little things, man, like going out more, going to festivals and stuff, instead of just saying no, like it'll wreck my training, just being like YOLO and just do the best I can to recover properly so that I can still hit the training. So yeah, like I said earlier, with finding ways to fit my life alongside coaching, fitting life just wherever I can, and not sacrificing the quality of my own training and coaching, but just being like, no, it can fit, but how do I make them fit?
Yeah. What is it life balancing your life? I guess what's a typical day in the life of Matt Crundall?
So typical day is I'll wake up like late morning, like 10-ish, something like that, because I've stayed up pretty late coming from the gym and also finishing off work for the day. I'll eat breakfast. I'll make sure I, like, especially in this kind of summer period when the sun starts coming out more, I'll go for a walk after having showered and brushed my teeth, go for a walk, get some sun. That's a really good way to start your day off and just kind of uplifts your mood and also get some steps to limber up. I'll come back inside. If there's work I can attend to, like people to reply to and give feedback to, I'll do that. Then I'll have another meal, go outside again, just try to like get out and about as much as possible. This is also like a small parts of advice because it really is a game changer for your just mental state of mind and like your body and stuff. Then I'll come back again, just see if there's any other stuff I need to attend to, and then eat, and then I'll go to the gym to do my couple PTs for the day. I only do like 2 a day at the most. That's kind of the most I feel I can squeeze in alongside with everything else. I'll do my training session, come back home, do any other stuff I need to, whether it's writing programs or responding to people, wind down via like something that's like chill, like watching a show or just like random like YouTube or like playing chess or something like that, and then just going to bed. So it's kind of like clockwork, and that's pretty much Monday to Friday.
Yeah, amazing. Life of Matt Crundall.
Yeah, it's nothing crazy, but it gets
the job done. Exactly. And do you find that routine is something that you're very adamant about?
Yeah, as time's gone on, I found that routine is like pretty quintessential for maintaining your profession, livelihood, and just all the things you want to get done in the week. If there isn't routine, it's very sporadic. Doing the tasks that you have set, it becomes exponentially harder. And so I still fall out of routine, to be honest, like pretty often. Like I'll have instances where I'm waking up in the afternoon because everything's just been pushed super late and I haven't handled things in like a proper hierarchical structure in the day, and just the important things have been left behind. It happens here and there, but whenever I can, I try to keep myself in a routine. So like if that's something you can take away, routine's important, even though like I don't always have my routine down pat. It's good.
Yeah, love to see it. We have a few questions from the listeners, and
let's go.
Yeah, amazing. I guess I'll probably leave the names out. We'll just go with the questions. Yeah. But thank you if you asked a question, and hopefully you remember what question you asked. What challenges do you encounter with your athletes, and do you have any strategies to overcome them, if any?
Yeah, there's plenty of challenges that come about. So there'd be all the way from if someone wasn't feeling good coming to the session and they try to go about their session and it's hard. If someone starts to feel like chronic sort of stress and fatigue from the training, if they're leading into a meet, and just when people start to feel overwhelmed mentally with trying to fit training in their life, those would probably be the challenges rather than actually planning the framework for someone and all that. Because when I plan it out and if it just goes smoothly, it's all good. Like that's kind of the easy part. It's more of when people start to like second guess via feeling super, super tired or struggling to fit a gym in their lives. The ways around that would be, and like this is why I think I prefer this kind of style of coaching where it's very frequent everyday sort of chats rather than infrequent like video catch-ups or just occasional sort of like FaceTimes or whatever. Is because knowing exactly what's going on from a mutual aspect is really important. So how I solve that is I'll chat really in depth as to exactly what the problem is, and also all the other factors that could be contributing to someone's like challenges and life, which is impacting the gym training sessions. I'll troubleshoot with them and provide as many solutions as possible to overcome that. And then I'll set like feasible goals for them that they can tick off, which will get them to being in a more sustainable spot and or getting through the sessions easier or going about their day easier or feeling less wrecked. So yeah, the main thing is like very, very quality in-depth communication with the other person as to exactly what's going on, diagnosing that, and then providing all solutions that I can think of which will help, and then setting realistic timelines as to the goals they should be achieving along the solution fixing path.
Amazing. A lot to unpack there. Hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah. Just talking basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
now, judging by like how you speak and everything, you're very well spoken.
Oh,
and
thanks, man.
and of course you have your programming and everything and leading into meets and stuff. This is a question for myself, but like where'd you get all your knowledge from? Are you a big researcher? Do you watch a lot of videos? What are your main sources of information?
So just quickly, the exercise science field is kind of, especially in the powerlifting realm and very like advanced high level strength training realm, isn't one that is too heavily researched. So in terms of the specific programming methods and how to go about structuring training and the framework of things, there isn't heaps to get from like research articles and stuff. So in terms of how I've built up my expertise over the years, it is a mixture of looking through research articles, plenty of videos of people who are established coaches and like their podcasts or their kind of video explanations of things or descriptions and whatnot. Looking through other things like physios and other health practitioners that can help you better understand the body and why it responds to certain things, certain exercises in certain ways. Looking through like other coaching programs or even template programs over many years and for lots of people and kind of dissecting and taking bits and pieces as to why some things might work, why some things will fit in certain places. My own experimentation on myself as the years gone by as to what's worked. Not really experimenting, quote unquote, like athletes of mine, but the training they undergo and the results that are produced from that, taking all the lessons and points away as to what can better improve their own training and other people's training. So yeah, the summarizing answer is a mixture of like looking through research, looking through people who are well established and have lots of good points and information to produce, like health practitioners, just general bits and pieces, looking through like the human body system, physiology, musculoskeletal system, like remembering parts of the body and stuff, how things move, and also training programs for myself, other people, like online programs. And yeah, so a combination of that, do that for several years and you'll end up doing what I do.
Not just TikTok. What is your opinion on TikTok actually? And I guess social media content and information.
Like TikTok in a vacuum, I think isn't like good because it's like, I actually deleted it off my phone because I just found myself swiping.
You were on the TikTok grind.
I was posting, but I just felt like it wasn't. I definitely delivered genuine information, but the goal was just blow up and see what happens. And because like I wasn't like too keen on doing that because I didn't feel like any satisfaction from it, I just stopped. And also the fact of it, the app being on my phone caused me to just be on the app too much, and I just wasn't getting enough win out of that. So yeah. And what was the other one? Social media.
I guess like Instagram Reels, similar
like
domain.
Info stuff. So it's hard to so the way people blow up and gain a following is doing info and posts that is like polarizing and is like really catchy and sticks in your head and is kind of against the grain. So it's not. I wouldn't always recommend it as being.
It's dead.
That's right. as being like a good method to take info, as the bites of info are usually pretty small and niche, and also sometimes are not necessarily correct. So yeah, just it's hard to know where to get your info from. Yeah.
Do you have any advice or sort of ways of uncovering good quality information? And while you're answering that, I'm gonna keep the camera on.
No stress. So how to get good quality information? I think the best way to go about that, in tandem with pursuing and improving the pursuit of your own physical goals, is to suss out a coach, or at least inquire with one, or locate somebody who is one and ask if you can at least just talk to them and run things through them without necessarily having to start coaching with them. If that evolves into coaching with them in terms of getting the benefit of all the information you could want, plus just getting the programming and coaching, that's like a win-win. So the best way would probably be to inquire or look through or for a coach, because it's very hard to, especially if you're very unacquainted with the field, to know where to look.
100%. And I think even like people might think, oh, you're a coach. You're just saying that to get a coach.
I didn't say go with me.
But definitely go with him. Yeah, exactly. It's open. Crundall Crew. Crundall Crew on top. But I think it's absolutely pivotal to, I guess, even with anything, but let's say gym in particular. I'm so grateful that my mum enrolled me in workshop gym, and I was able to learn the fundamentals of like your squat or your bench or your deadlift, and in a safe environment as well, where you're not being judged. Sick. And you can learn your compounds, learn how fundamental movements work and everything, and learn how to be in tune with your body. I think it's, absolutely optimal, especially if you don't want to, I don't know, to herniate your disc or anything, you know?
Yeah, you're right. Quality guidance is always good. And your mum's like a gun as well. Like she's actually so strong.
Yeah, shout out, mum. What's your favorite and least favorite part of coaching?
So the favorite would be just like being on the journey and seeing the success occur for everyone who puts their trust in me. Just because I feel like when you join Crundall Crew, you just become like family. 100%. Like I'll look after you. So like I feel your success as much as you enjoy those PRs and all that. The hard part, I mean, there are like harder and easier parts of coaching in terms of what I said before, like navigating certain problems and stuff. So it's all at the end of the day enjoyable, but like you said before, some of those earlier things where like multifaceted problems come about when lifestyle, gym, fatigue, and just kind of mental clarity start to get a bit blurry. That's where it's hard, like solving lots of different factors via conversation with the athlete. That's the hard part. The secondary thing that can get hard is if I'm already really busy in the day and I've got to crunch through creating a bunch of blocks for lots and lots of people in a short period of time. There's no real way around that other than to do it. It just sometimes gets hard, but I'm not complaining at all. So those would be the hard parts and the good parts. The good parts is just the overall success, which trumps anything else, and I love. And then the hard parts is multifaceted problems, which stem through all different sorts of parts of the person, and then just sometimes the workload gets crazy, but it's all good.
Yeah, amazing. And I guess that crazy workload leads to the success or being able to feel other people's successes, which is so awesome.
Yeah.
What has been your fondest memory in your career of both your own powerlifting journey and maybe coaching as well?
For
on the spot.
Yeah. For myself, I guess getting that bench record or the couple times in that year of 2017 where I travelled. So I went to Sydney to do like an international invitational where Australia and a bunch of Pacific countries competed, where like really strong international lifters like Brett Gibbs and David Ricks and this guy called Jezza from Nauru competed, and Daiki Gedama from Japan, like just meeting people alongside some friends of mine, like Victor Liu was there with me. He trained at Melbourne Uni with me, and just kind of meeting and exploring new people and things. And then when I went to Singapore at the end of 2017, that was also cool, meeting all these people from Australia that I met and international that I haven't met. So for myself, it's the fond memories are like, I guess, achieving personal best / meeting new people from all over the place and going to new places and the experiences. In terms of the coaching, it's like I've got like an infinite like box of memories to choose from. I feel, I guess in the if we're talking the most recent, because I honestly can't narrow down the one best feeling where like my heart was throbbing because of the success of an athlete myself, but the most recent would, I'd say, be the national championships just gone by with Zin when she won, just because she was kind of the underdog. She'd been beaten twice in the year at locals and states by this girl called Annabelle, who's a really strong lifter. Zin had also been holidaying the whole year and barely trained. And
she's always traveling, man.
It was a pretty dim couple blocks leading to nationals, thinking, oh crap, like there's so much to catch up on. But through like very precise game day handling and her ability to execute, we got the dub, and now she's gone to Worlds. So that's like really crazy. So that's one of that's probably the most recent one. Yeah,
I love that so much, and Yeah, far out. It's just a testament to both of you, I guess, like your programming
Appreciate it.
and the athlete that she is. Yeah, amazing. I have one final question.
Yeah.
Someone's asked, I keep hurting my knees when lifting. How do I prevent this? Which is very generic. I'd assume.
No, I understand. I get that sort of generic stuff all the time. So all the things to break down from the top to bottom would be like, what are you hurting them on? Like what exercise? It's very hard to diagnose without seeing and also knowing the exercise. The main advice from there would be to talk to somebody who like knows what they're doing or knows their stuff, and or just go to a physio who can diagnose and look at what you're doing, see the map of where the pain's coming from and how to go about treating it. I'd say the second answer I gave is probably actually the primary one someone should do. And actually what I recommend a lot of people who I don't coach that I just got no context for, I'd just say go to a physio. And yeah.
100%. And I think, yeah, it's sort of, I agree with the first point in terms of maybe go to someone who also lifts as well or is more experienced in the gym, but everyone's biomechanics are so different. So finding a physio to sort of fine tune and properly gauge where you're at is probably the best way to go. Is there anything you want to leave on, Matt?
Gee, all right.
Your final speech.
I guess like if we touch on like the origins of me and stuff like that and where I am now, just if you find that you there's something that you really enjoy and love, and you're like at a crossroads with it, if you can't necessarily make it into a job and make money from it, still see if you can keep it alive alongside the rest of your life, because from where I'm now and having so much joy every day doing what I love, like it'll bring a lot of life fulfillment, still being able to do something you love than having to abandon it to fit in with society and just go about like life in a mundane way.
So good. That was amazing. Awesome. There's my clip. Matt, it's been a pleasure having you on the podcast.
My pleasure being here, man.
Thank you very much. Everyone can find you in the show notes below, but if you want to plug yourself here as well, be my guest.
Yep. My Instagram's just Matt Crundall in one word.
Yeah.
And just, that's basically where I conduct everything online.
Amazing. Thank you very much for listening. And yeah, if you've listened this far, thank you very much. Really appreciate you. Be sure to follow at Life with Lamb Podcast on Instagram, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye-bye.